Creative art is something I've done a while back, but now we got another great artist with me. And what we're going to talk about today is value. Because being a
Yeah.
creative art, and when I say the art, I don't just mean pencil to the paper or drawing brush. Musically, sculpture, all that stuff is all part of art. The art universe is so massive. So welcome to another segment. My name is Adewale Work Jr. We got Kimbo over here, Ramsey. You know what I'm saying? Bush. So please join us, enjoy us. Today we're gonna talk about all kinds of cool stuff. Value. Value is the word of the today, man. So Kimbo, what's up, man? How you doing? How's everything over there in England, man?
Brother, it's good. And today the weather was actually exquisite today, brother. We had some sunshine, no
Okay.
rain, few clouds in the sky. It was absolutely lovely, brother. So I'm good, man. I'm good. I was with some kids today doing some literacy things, some exercises, encouraging them, inspiring them to learn how to use their language and communicate with each other, share their hearts, their dreams, their perspectives, their opinions. So it's been a good day, bro. It's been
Man,
good.
and for all you don't know, my boy is a instructor, is what I want to call him. I want to call him an instructor because I feel like that's the right word. Teacher is a limited word, but instructor is
Yeah.
the person who can actually direct you, give you guidance in life. A mentor, if
Mm.
you want to call it. He goes to these various different schools across all of Europe. Ain't no way he ain't been across all of Asia. Even actually, he go everywhere, man. He everywhere, man. And so aside from his musical talents, he's also a mentor using his creative knowledge to teach these kids about being self, being valuable, knowing what they want, how they want to go about getting their dreams, and all that good stuff. So, yo, man. So, Kimba, we gonna get this thing. Um,
That's right.
One of the things
That's
we
right.
start, y'all gonna notice this more and more. Next week, I'm gonna be on Kimba's platform. You know what I'm saying? So his platform, we're gonna be over there splitting this all over the place all the time because we growing this thing. We talking about value,
Absolutely.
man. And
Yeah.
y'all, the reason why we want to talk about value today is because we were chopping it up last week and we realized that everything you do has a value to it. So why
Right.
not talk about the word itself, value? What does it mean? It's really my definition of it is to have an understanding of you as an asset. What do you
Hmm.
bring? How do you where do you, not so much in monetarily, but your value of your overall what's this word? Overall, value, overall value of what you bring to the table.
Right.
How nobody can devalue you basically is a counter to the devalue. So Kimba, I don't know what you think of the word. It's, we all got different definitions for that word, man.
Yeah. When I think of the word value, I think of significance, impact, and importance.
Yeah.
Right. Significance, impact, and importance. Um, how do what does my presence how does my presence impact my environment? And I think that determines or that can tell you a lot about the value that you have. And it doesn't always have to be my presence. What it could also be is the presence of an idea, right? Because all of us are ideas, man. We're full of ideas. You know what I'm saying? I heard a preacher say one time is that he said before any of us ever arrived on this planet, we were all just a thought.
Huh.
Okay. He said your parents, when they looked at each other, they had thoughts of love, right? And that culminated into producing a child. He said each person is all you are is a thought. Even when we leave this planet, what's
Yep.
left behind
It's a
is the
thought.
thought of us.
Your
Is
memory.
the
That's what you are.
You know what I mean? So for me, is the significance of the impact of presence, whether it's physically or as an idea. Yeah.
That's big. Now, what about you? Because you said impact too. We've got. What about the impact part? How do you? What do you? The value impact. What do you? What? Because we're gonna break this thing down into subcategories. But with the impact part, what do you mean by that?
So impact is like how do you is influence as well. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like whenever a person's in a room or somebody's in a room or an idea is in the room, how does that idea change the environment? You know what I mean? And in which way does it change the environment? Does it put a positive, does it contribute a positive influence on the environment, or does it contribute a negative influence on the environment? And it's funny though, as I say that, I realize that in this world that we live in, sometimes negatives have a greater impact on some of the, have a greater influence on certain things, which is a shame to say and to realize. But um, we have to acknowledge that too. That some things people value have a negative impact. They don't have to, but sometimes they do. So impact is how does the presence of either a person or an idea, how does that influence the environment?
And then that third one, I think you said volume, or what was the third one?
So impact, significance, and important. Impact, significance, and importance, I think it was.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, is it vital? If you talk about something that's important, you talk about something that it has a certain level of there's a certain level of necessity to it, and some things are not
Relevant.
aren't. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
do is this vital for what I'm after?
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, if you're working out and stuff, you got to have some water.
Right. Yeah.
You ain't gonna do too well if you ain't got no water around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So water is important. Is important.
Yeah.
I mean, life in general. Water is important. So that's what I mean by importance or significance.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I think a lot of people don't understand value, which is why we're going to start breaking down everything, right? So the five things I want to focus on, we talked about what we wanted to focus on. We want to focus on person because that's the creator itself, the
Hmm.
creation itself, ownership, equity, and marketing. So the person itself, the creator, in terms of value,
Yeah.
for me, a person that we're all creative individuals, so that makes us valuable. Each
Yeah.
person creates a different type of things. You're creating different things. I'm creating different things. I think a
Hmm.
lot of people really don't appreciate themselves when it comes to the matter of value because too often when you have a talent, hey, why don't you go get a job at Marvel Comics? Why don't you go get a job at DC Comics? I'm always in my head like, how about I start a business, start my own idea?
Mm.
Forget a business.
Mm.
How about I start my own idea? Because I think when I say the word business, I feel like sometimes when you create something, you always want it to be business. I don't want it to be a business. What I'm doing now is a dream. I'm not going to allow
Yeah.
accountants to turn my dream into numbers because that's all they
Yeah.
care about. Because now it becomes about the bottom line and not the dream that's actually the substance of what you're doing. So,
Mm.
the person itself, for me, you have to know who you are so that
Yeah.
people can't dictate what you need to become. That's why you have a
Yeah.
lot of different artists. We always talk about the music part, or whether it's movie and acting, or whether it's sports, but they always dress like this, cut your hair like this, whatever, whatever, whatever. So now you yourself just become lost in who you are. You don't even know who you are anymore. So that kid who was the person who actually created this creation that you have is no longer there anymore. What you think? That
Amazing.
mean that's just
I totally agree with you. And you know what? The interesting thing about that too, when you talk about losing a sense of self as a creative, um, a lot of the things that we consume nowadays are the result of people, as they say these days, still stood on business.
yeah. I stand on business. I
Like
stand on
they
business. Yeah,
for example, like Stan Lee,
yeah.
right? I'm sure when his ideas first came to fruition and he was pitching his ideas to people, that people was like, you gonna do what? You know what I mean? You gonna
Yeah.
do what? I'm not sure about that. I know for sure Walt Disney went through some of that as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we talking about people who now represent billion pound industry, $1 billion industries. You know what I mean? But in its infancy, there were people who didn't necessarily believe in what they was talking about. I mean, Steve Jobs is another one.
Oh
You
my
know what I
God.
mean? And but now look at the results of them really staying true
Yeah.
to their original idea and concept. And it's easy because we live in a world that um is full of kind of the sheep mentality, as you say.
Yeah.
People like to follow. It's easy to be challenged when you want to when you really have an original idea. So I totally agree, bro. Creatives, I think creatives make the world go round because everything we
So do-
see, everything we see and everything we consume was someone's idea that they had to go through a process of refining until it was at the point to where it became something that was vital to society. So we got to know and value who we are and what our ideas are.
What's funny you say that because and it comes back to the person because all these categories that we'll talk about they all have to do with a person. I think you have
Mm.
to really value yourself when you get into something. You can't.
Hmm.
As speaking of Stan Lee, he said the line: "If you generally have a good idea, don't let some idiot talk you out of it." Me, any person that's ever tried to create an idea, I am sure somebody came at you with some negative nonsense
For
or some
sure.
way to tell you that you can't do it. And
Yeah.
sometimes 75% of the time is a lot of family members because they want to incorporate their fear into you. Am I lying? They
Nah,
want
it's
to put their
real.
fear into you and they want to let their fear become your fear. Your fear can't become my fear. And
Mm.
I knew you would chopped it up. You know, this man right here is a brother to me, brother to me, man. You know, I actually told
Likewise,
him.
you know.
I told him about my mom. I remember one time I told him, I said, look, I had to tell my mom one time, I said, Mom, my fear is not your fear. You're not gonna stop what I'm doing. Either you get on board or get out the way. But I'm not asking for your permission anymore.
That's real.
And in Nigerian culture, that's hard to do. But you have to do those hard things. And this kind of thing that I did could happen with your wife, your
Yeah.
girlfriend, or whatever. Because sometimes people are letting their fear become your fear. I can't do that. That's a fear box. And that's something else we can talk about another segment. That's a whole
Yeah.
nother episode altogether. Because
Yeah.
those guys like us, individuals like us, creators like us, we don't care about failure. All we want to know is that we ain't trying to leave this earth without trying.
That's
That's
it.
it.
That's
Nobody
it.
ever does this and says, I want to become a billionaire. Some people
That's it.
do. Maybe that's their pursuit, but mine is not money. Mine is about
Yeah.
the mine is the pursuit of purpose. My purpose opening up gates for me. Go ahead, brother. Hit it, man. Go ahead.
Hey, listen, you said something. I think it was either no, it was two podcasts ago. You said one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. In the way that you said it, and it's not exactly how you said it, but you said,
Yeah.
uh, I don't. I became free when I realized that I didn't care about money.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what happened to me. Bro, I didn't care.
I was like,
I'm
you
free.
know, that's a mouthful, bro. And just to acknowledge the fact that you value your time and energy more than sacrificing your time, your energy, your inspiration for money, you
Yes,
know,
sir.
and that's a beautiful thing. And I um obviously there's practicality to that, but I think in principle, bro, it gives you a level of stability that some people, a level of stability and a level of fulfillment that some people never reach.
You never, you can, there's a, maybe I got this from Tupac. I can't remember. Or Malcolm X or Fela Kuti, one of them three. But we are wells, right? And some
Mm,
of us never get full. Ever. When you have no what's that word? Contentment. When your pursuit is not purpose, but something less organic, you will never be full. That's why you see
wow.
movie stars, they'll go, they'll go, I'm trying to bring people to our chat. Everybody's about to be everybody in the godmother's about to join our chat. And these people will never, they're never satisfied. There's always something
Mm,
they're looking for every single day. You know, rest
mm.
in peace, Robin Williams. You know Robin Williams, the great actor.
Ah, bro. You know what? It's while you talking, that's one of the main ones I'm thinking about while you talking, man. He's
I
one of the
was so
main guys.
I was very, it really hit me when he died because that man spent most of his life trying to satisfy everybody else but himself. And that's a problem right there because it's the person who's creating is not content within themselves and he's looking for
Wow.
others to do for them what he's doing for others. And those people that he's doing for don't have the strength, the backbone, or the care
Mm,
to show him the love that he was showing them.
yeah.
That's why go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking about him as an individual and what he emulated and what he admitted through the screen, man. It, you, I when I hearing that was unimaginable for me.
Yeah, it was.
Robin Williams. You know what I mean? Like he was the type of guy that, at least on screen, when I saw
Yeah.
him, I would just think that he was the most contented person in the world, bro.
That was fake happy, bro. Fake happy.
I mean, dude, I used to watch Mork and Mindy, bro.
Yes.
Nanu,
Yeah.
nanu, nanu. You
I'm
know what I'm
45,
saying?
so I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I
That ain't
used to
nothing new to
watch
me.
Mork and Mindy,
Mindy,
bro.
man. This man had the #1 comedy on television. He wanted a bunch of
Man,
#1s. He wanted to not be funny. He wanted to win an Oscar. He did all that, and still nobody done from. Like another example, and I always use him because he's my favorite. Tupac. If I had any gift, I could have given Tupac. I'd have given him a gift card for therapy. Yo, here's a gajillion episodes, gillion sessions. Go do what you got to do. Take off 5 years. You're still gonna be the greatest when
mm,
you come back. I guarantee
yeah,
it. But I bet you nobody ever said that to him.
mm,
Somebody should have said to Tupac, take off 5 years. When you come back, you still gonna be the greatest. So go get some
mm.
rest. Because he was feeding the family, man. He was a family man. I don't care if he didn't have no kids. When you're taking care of your family, your mama, your auntie, your cousins, all that, you are a family man. That is
That's
paying
true.
bills. Am I right or wrong?
No, it's real.
So cat like Robin Williams, Tupac, Kate Spade. This woman had all the money in the world and still committed suicide, man. That is like the industry showing you no care for your care. Like letting you
You
know
know,
you are significant to their bottom line, whatever they want to call it, man. That's why this whole episode is about value. We
you
are.
know, you
Go
know
ahead.
another one that hit me hard too. DMX.
Oh yeah, man. I was a you know I'm the biggest DMX fan. I used to
DMX,
buy his
bro.
albums, and when the album would come out, first thing I'd run to was the prayer. I just want to hear him say a prayer.
DMX, bro.
A poet of the highest order. Like he. You know what to me? And this I've said this before. There was Tupac, and after that we had DMX. I don't care who you pick. I'm not picking them over DMX. They didn't sell as many records. They didn't hit the impact like he did. That man was a poet, man. I used to watch. If DMX started a church, and I'm not religious in any way, I'd have went to that church. I'd have sat in the front row and listened to what he had to say.
Yo, DMX, bro. It's
He
like,
man, he was a preacher who was a rapper.
but yeah, I mean, in the same breath that you talk about value, though, man, it's like, you look at these guys, man, and you think how much the world claimed that they valued them,
But they
and
didn't.
like, and it's like you say, you gotta think, did they value themselves as much as what it appeared that society valued them? I think Pac's situation, was a bit different in terms of conflicts and external influences having an
Yeah,
end for him. But DMX and Robin Williams is that those are different situations, man. And to see X's health deteriorate like
yeah.
that, and Robin Williams out of nowhere. I mean, for me, that was out of nowhere, bro. Like I was like, Robin Williams, what? You know what I'm saying? It was just out of nowhere for me. So, but that, like you said, that value, that contentment is priceless. You
It
can
is.
have all the money in the world, but if you
If you're not
don't feel within yourself that the creator himself has invested himself in you and your life is worth something, then it's a challenge, bro.
DMX one was sad about it. We all know that he used drugs, but that drug that he used was a family member who gave it to him. He
See, and
lived.
that's the other part that
That
was
really
really
gets on
rubbing
my
me.
nerves. That people never talk about that. That family member set DMX on the course to self-destruct, but it's
See,
only because DMX had the spirit and the courage of himself that he became the greatness that he became. He had to fight. Imagine doing this. You're doing two things every single day. This is you chasing your dream, and this is the demon trying to get you.
Yeah.
Literally every single day that was DMX's life. And so
Mm,
when you're a creator, like people always trying to find a way to just chop you, chop you, chop you, chop you, chop you,
mm,
chop you. You know what I'm saying?
mm.
Man, it's really like to be a creator, to be a dream chaser, man, man, it's not for everybody, boy. Cause this one
No.
ugly, lonely, like your album says. See motions. Man, you wake up in the morning like, man, this is gonna be a horrible day. Oh yeah.
Man.
And then losses just keep piling up. It's like this. And it just gets bigger and bigger. You're like, dang, man, how much can I carry?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
when
it's a
you're going through
challenge.
it, whether you married, single, live in a household of 10 people, you got nobody to talk to about it. All you got
Yeah.
to talk about is the dude looking in the mirror, yourself. Man, and that's when you really got to
Yeah.
know if what you're pursuing is for you or not.
Yeah, it's a challenge, bro. But purpose is power, and I think a lot of those guys, when they started off, they knew that. Robin Williams, he found a lot of purpose in he found a lot of value in making other people feel value,
Yes,
and,
sir.
and bringing happiness to them. And X and Pac, obviously, both of those guys were overcomers and overachievers,
Achievers.
who vowed to rise above the negative aspects of their upbringing and their
Upbringing.
circumstances and environment, And I often wondered, in particular, thinking about X, I didn't know that part about, how that happened in the end, but
Oh yeah.
I just felt like, the couple times I saw him on different things, on different shows and stuff, it just didn't set right with me how he was. And I was like, I was just thinking to myself, I can't believe that no one in his circle is really trying to, support him in a way that he really needed it. You know what I
And,
mean?
and you needed support in a way where the support had to be the truth.
Yeah.
Hey X, we love you. We want you to grow old. You're not
Yep.
going to grow old
Yep.
this way.
Yep.
See, this is a funny thing, and this is something I've learned. When I
Mm.
now that I just completed my last session of my therapy.
Come on now.
That was
Come
last
on
week.
now.
That was 2 years of commitment.
Come on, brother.
When I text people, I read
Yeah.
over my text 3 times. When I reply
Mm.
people, I read over my reply 3 times.
Yeah.
See the words we use can either pull somebody this way or pull somebody
Yeah.
back to us the way we want them to go.
It's true.
When you talk to a guy like DMX,
Mm.
you let him know he's achieved greatness fighting this demon, but you let him
Mm.
know how much you love him, and we want to have you around for the long haul.
Come on,
What
bro.
and when you use people don't the industry, and this is why I have such a disposition and such a disgust for the industry. They don't care about people, man. People are just products on the assembly line. Who's the next hit? Let me tell you who I'm worried about. It's a young
Mm.
lady now, Billie Eilish. I don't listen to her music, but I got a feeling, bro.
Wow.
Man, I
Wow.
got a feeling, bro. I'm telling you right
Wow.
now, they're gonna Britney Spears this girl.
Wow.
They're gonna work her into the ground. And then there's another
Mm.
actress. Her name is her last name is Ortega. She's a young actress. She's about 21. She's done Wednesday, Addams Family. She's done a few shows. Beetlejuice. Man, the industry treats you like a product that they just want you on all the time.
Mm.
And you have to know to have the courage to say, they'll say, oh no, don't stop. You don't want to not stay hot. What does that mean? They always use that BS. What does that mean? Like you're not your hotness is not gonna go away. The only thing that's gonna kill your hotness is if you put out a bad album. That's it. And even then, it's not gonna go away. Because
Yeah.
they'll say your core people, your fans, like you were saying, will always be around. They don't care if you drop a bad album. They're like, you trying something new. There's no such thing as a bad album. Okay, look. Kimba's first album, right here. Another album. None of them three look the same. You see, this is an album, this is an album, and this is an album. Each one has got a different shape. You're not supposed to have the same album all the time.
Mm.
So when a person is a creator, this industry has a habit of wanting to say, hey, be only one thing what we want you to be. That's really what you
Mm.
want. All of y'all be
It's,
vanilla. All of y'all, and you said this last time we talked last week's episode. All of y'all drop the same type of album. All of y'all say the same rap. All of y'all say the same songs. Give us no verse. Give us nothing to give us nutrients. Just keep
yeah.
talking to us about garbage. 20-inch rims, Cadillacs, and how many whatever you got. I'm not trying to hear all that.
Yeah. It's
You know
real,
what I'm
bro.
saying? You
That's
know what I
real.
mean? You know what I
That's
mean?
real.
So now it brings us to the second part, the creation
Yeah.
part. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Creation. What do you think of creation when you think about value? Creation.
Um, I think creation is the expression of your creativity. I mean, yeah, it's just the unique expression of an authentic idea.
Right.
The unique expression of an authentic idea. That's what I would say is creation. The unique expression. I like that actually.
You should write that down.
I just
Dude,
did. The unique
man, say that
expression.
again, please.
The unique expression of an authentic idea.
The unique expression of an authentic man. That's beautiful, bro.
Thank you,
Man,
brother. Thank you.
man. Go ahead, further
Yeah.
elaboration. So since you got
Yeah.
the tag, man, go ahead with it.
Yeah,
Shoot.
I mean, if I can use you as an example, man, Carjack Assassins,
Yes, sir.
I think we both grew up watching cartoons and animations, and they had a profound effect on us, man. I think growing up, we'd watch and see these characters, and then go in the backyard or go and try and climb up a building, tie a towel around your neck, and jump off the bed.
Man, you ain't never lying.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
like, I mean, regardless of where you live in, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
man.
Tie a
A sock
pillowcase
over your
around your
face, cut some
face.
holes
You,
on them joints.
you know, you see what I mean?
I did all that.
And so we go from that to, now you drawing. You know what I mean? But the thing about it is your characters reflect you, your ethnicity, your values, so it's an it's a unique expression, and it's authentic to who you are. You know what I mean? And I mean, shoot, basketball players, you know, I remember when Allen Iverson came into the NBA, and people was just like, they were scared of Allen.
They were scared of Allen. Oh my God, it was bad.
They were
Mm.
scared of Allen, and for good reason, because Allen Iverson was the epitome of um, confidence and self-expression.
A culture shock. He was a culture shock.
Yeah, absolutely,
Man,
brother.
what? Everybody thought they had the crossover. I used to go to school. Thank you, Kim Vargas, for joining us. Appreciate you.
Yeah, yeah. Allen
Everybody thought he
Iverson,
was.
man, and he was like, and he had a different attitude, bro. He had a different attitude. He
Hey,
wasn't
Latina,
loud.
how you doing, girl? Good to see you. We got fans up in the house, dog. They trying to
What's
holler at us.
happening? What's happening, folks? Latrina, Kim, thanks for joining us. It's so
Appreciate y'all.
good to have you with
Well,
us.
welcome to another awesome segment, man. Today we're talking about value, man, art
Yeah.
value, and all kinds of cool stuff. So y'all, please stay with us. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, so yeah, Allen Iverson was just different. He was definitely the unique expression of an authentic idea, because basketball is played a lot of different ways, right? There
Yes,
are a lot
sir.
of different ways to play. I mean, I remember a while, way back when everybody thought Dr. J, there was no one was going to be better than Dr. J or
Yeah.
Wilt Chamberlain. You know what I'm saying? And then Michael Jordan comes along, or Magic Johnson comes along, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar comes along, um, Isaiah Thomas, Charles Barkley and that whole bunch, Larry Bird, and they thinking, nah, this can't get no better than this.
And it does.
And you get this young kid from Charlotte, and he comes in and
Mm, mm,
his
mm.
changes the game
He blow
totally.
it out the water, man.
Yeah,
Jesus and
but then
sneakers. That's what Larry Bird said. Larry Bird said that's Jesus and sneakers. I said, I said,
wow, I
if
didn't
Larry
know
Bird can
that.
say some mess like that, it's over.
I didn't know that, bro.
Yeah, that's what
I
Larry
didn't
Bird
know.
said. He said that's Jesus and sneakers.
Hey, listen.
Oh
He
man.
was a miracle worker for sure.
Oh my God.
MJ was a miracle worker, and then people thought that was it.
Yeah.
That was the pinnacle. And yes, indeed, in a lot of ways, he was the pinnacle. But then you got different ones coming through. That's like, you know what? I see how y'all play,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna show you how I see the game.
Yeah.
For somebody that's 6 foot playing against people that's that and then some,
Allen Iverson, the killer crossover boy. He was giving the league
bro.
the business. The
Yeah,
business. The
and why
business.
and why was that? Because he valued
Yep.
his uniqueness.
Yep.
He valued it because they were trying to
Oh
the
my
the
God.
commissioner, the
Yeah.
NBA, different coaches. They was like, and the guy, what's his name? I'm trying to remember. John Thompson that
Yeah.
coached him at
At Georgetown.
Georgetown.
And
John
Trinity.
Thompson was
Yes,
like,
sir.
listen, let him play.
Yep.
Just let that boy play, and so eventually they got to see that his uniqueness was what was valuable.
Right. They give me a second, Kimba. Hold on.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, shouts out to everybody checking us out.
Appreciate
Kim,
y'all, man. Oh yeah, y'all
Latrina.
Y'all make sure y'all keep coming every week because this thing's gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah,
That's what's
you know,
up.
you say Allen Iverson's a culture shock because they try to take away his tattoos. They try to tell
Yeah.
him to dress differently. They try to tell him to yada 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 yada. I'm
Do
not
his
trying.
hair different?
All I know is he want no stick. He was different, man. That brother was. I got my two favorite basketball players of this: Akeem Olajuwon, and then
Ooh.
Akeem Olajuwon, the Dream Shake. Come on, Nigeria. You know, got to represent. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, killer crossover, Allen Iverson. What?
Wow.
Man, that man,
Wow.
bro, he made me want to go play basketball.
Hey, a
So I
lot of
used to,
us.
cause okay, so my game was more like Akeem's, but then I was like, let me add Allen Iverson game to my game. Dude, bro, I kid you not. I was good enough to make the high school team if I wanted to make it.
Wow.
Ask my brother, I could dunk. Like I had a crossover, boy. When I got
Sheesh.
you know how you go to the park to play games? We play from
Mm.
morning till night. I was always on the team. They would never let me get off the court. I'd be like, and I
Yeah.
would be taking the last game. Ask my brother, because me and my brother always played on the same team. Would
Yeah.
go. Tyler's game was like Tyler's game was kind of like Charles Barkley. He could post up, give you the rebound, because I was always throwing them lobs or whatever, because I was the point
Yeah.
guard. So I was running
Yeah.
the point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was me and my cousins. We would all be playing from morning till night. Go from like
Yeah.
8 in the morning till 10 at night. Mom was like, where y'all been at?
Absolutely.
Man, we basketballing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
What?
Absolutely.
What? Oh my
Listen.
God. Allen Iverson. And you know, because I had my Ty had Akeem Olajuwon jersey. I had my Allen Iverson jersey, Penny Hardaway jersey. Man,
Oh,
bro.
woof.
Oh my God. What? Oh my
Yeah,
God.
you just
Bro,
named some
some ballers, man.
superstars, man. Yeah, ballers.
What?
And
Oh
you
my
know
God.
what? It's interesting you say Hakeem as well because on that notion of uniqueness for a big man, they talk about all these big dudes now.
Yeah.
He's the
Akeem was the
original
first. Akeem was the
with the
first.
type of feet, with the type
Yeah.
of for a big man to have feet like a little man,
Oh my God.
he's that guy.
Akeem was the business. Akeem
Yeah.
gave the business. We used to
Yeah.
call him, Nigerians, the Dream Shake. You know, he had his super move. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
God, I used to
Hakeem the
do that Dream
Dream.
Shake.
Hakeem the Dream.
Yeah, Akeem the Dream. I would go to the
Yeah.
court and do the Dream Shake because he did the Dream
Yeah.
Shake. I go to the court and use it. Man,
Oh
Akeem was
yeah.
that dude, man. When I play defense, I play like Akeem. I like, you want to get in? Oh, I was locked down. I didn't care. Get that mess out of here, man. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know, he really, and Allen Iverson just had heart, man.
Yeah.
Like, boom, boom. He would never stop. He wasn't
Yeah.
going to stop. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, man, that man was 6 foot, 155 pounds, 160, giving the league that
Imagine.
work, giving them
Imagine.
that work just
Imagine.
every night.
You
42,
know.
42, 42. If he never faced the Lakers that year in the championship, he would have won the championship.
Yeah. That, and you know what? That would have been a beautifully crowning moment for his
Yes,
career.
sir.
That
Yeah.
would have been a beautifully crowning moment because, you know, for a player his size, I
Yeah.
don't know if there's been a player his size to have that level of impact on the game of basketball other than
He used to play for Portland. Oh my God.
oh
Dame Dollar.
po-
Damian
I
Lillard.
mean not even him though, bro. Like
No.
I prior to I was gonna say Muggsy Bogues or
Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas, but even those
Isaiah
two,
Thomas. If anybody, Isaiah Thomas, because I know this is basketball, y'all. We're going off the path. We're coming back to creation, but it is a creation zone because we're just using an example. But Allen Iverson, um, 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 oh my God, Isaiah Thomas before Allen Iverson. Those
yeah,
are the two major impacts I can think of because both cats could give you 40 points.
yeah,
Both cats were they were natural point guards, but they were point guards, but they were two guards really playing the
yeah,
point guard
yeah,
position. And
yeah,
so,
yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So when you're a creator, as you said, express your unique idea. Allen Iverson had an idea. I am not fitting in. I'm gonna do what I do. Tupac had an idea. DMX had an idea. You have an idea. I have an idea. The
yeah.
whole concept of cardiac assassins really came out of necessity, like a
Mm,
remedy. It's really the best
mm,
way I can describe it because, as you
mm.
know, we're watching cartoons growing up as kids. We never
Right,
saw anything that looked like us. As much as we
right.
like Superman, Batman,
Mm.
Flash, Green Lantern, whoever you can think of, but none of them look like us. And when they did throw
Wow.
somebody that looked like us, they always threw the person in the background or they were less
Mm.
than.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm not much of a complainer. I'm gonna do something about it. So how do I
Right.
do something about it? I go learn all the things I need to learn to make my artistic abilities the greatest they can be. I
Right.
learn animation. I learn journey techniques. I learn how to create comics. I learn how to create products. I do all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because I realize that these people that idea controllers are not going to let you execute the vision that you have for what you think you can do. And so,
Yeah.
in order to achieve this achievement, you're going to have to go outside the box,
Yeah.
which means independence. And the only
Yeah.
way to go outside the box is to be independent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's
Yeah.
where I think the creation comes up, because that's why they always try to, in the music industry or in the artistic industry, they always try to control the creative zone. Tell you what to create. Tell you how many tracks are going to be on the album. Tell you how long the comic book is going to be. Who are you to tell me what to do? Really? Stay out of my kitchen. You know what I'm saying?
I
I'm
like
not
it.
asking you for the ingredients. No, I'm not asking you to do. As I once heard a coach said, I don't want nobody shopping my groceries. If I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna fail my way. Thank you very much. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You
Yeah.
know, that's why I have this affinity for cats like Fela Kuti,
Yeah.
Allen Iverson,
Oh yeah.
Tupac,
Oh yeah.
Sade. Like Sade hasn't dropped
Mm.
the album in God knows when, because she said, "Screw the industry. I don't have time for this. I'm not gonna be a cash cow. I'm not gonna tour all day long, exhausted, can't get no rest. You know, the industry burns you out on purpose, man, and then they get you.
Mm.
They find your vices, which in turn
Mm.
destroys your creativity. Why does a person have
Wow.
to be creative and self-destructive? For example, I'm reading a book right now on Basquiat. This is my favorite artist right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aside
He's
from
a big
myself,
one.
this is my favorite artist.
He's a
He
big
was
one.
creating, but at the same time, he was self-destructing. But see, what
Yep.
nobody ever talked about was, why was he self-destructing? Because he had
Wow.
a traumatic childhood life.
Come on.
His childhood was traumatic.
Come on.
He had coping mechanisms. He had to come up with coping mechanisms. And unfortunately, the coping mechanisms that he chose were self-destructive ones. He died at 28, man. He died 11 years after I was born. So I was 11 years old when Basquiat died. So universe never gave me an opportunity to meet my favorite artist, who I consider to be the greatest artist, mental creation, just and then he was very political with his work too. He had no problem talking about all the crap that you were doing to African Americans. No problem showing it. And then he valued himself. He would create these pieces that took him like 2 hours. Oh, let me get 100 grand for that. That's where I got the idea to sell my bucket hats for $110, my sneakers for $300, having no fear of my value. And that's why when you're a creator, you really have to have a value for your creation,
Mm-hmm.
which leads in turn to the part that is always the one that escapes artists. Owner.
Mm.
What do you think, sir? Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, that's a major question, and it's one of these questions that one of these areas that in the music industry it's really come to the forefront, you know, especially with the advancement of the internet, because the advancement of internet, but then technology as well.
Yes, sir.
Because years ago, what was happening to a lot of artists was that people couldn't afford to have a career without some sort of industry connection,
Yep.
and sometimes couldn't even afford to go to a studio,
Nope.
without some level of industry connection
Yes, sir.
that fronted you the finances to be able to go and actually record your idea professionally.
Right.
And so what that did is caused a lot of creatives to sell themselves basically to industry insiders, man. So the ownership was lacking, you know what I'm saying? But with this technological advancement, a lot of people have realized now that, you know what, I don't have to pour hundreds of thousands of dollars into a studio.
Nope.
I can spend a couple $1,000s and get me something and put at home,
Yes, sir.
and I can hone my creative process, and I can create my own works and own what I want or
Yes,
own
sir.
what I create. And if I want to partner with anybody, I could do that. But I'm not forced to sell myself into a relationship that I'm going to get exploited through. You know what I
Man,
mean?
that's such a big word when you say that word exploit. And that's a word that they always try to brush under the table as, oh, we're just growing your talent. So instead of
Yeah.
saying the word exploit, they use the word growing your talent. How you grow my talent when you take it from me? You know what I'm saying? They act like they're talking to idiots. You know, you know, you're not talking to stupid people. And I think guys, individuals like us that think the way we think within the independent box, as I like to call it, which is a whole another
Mm-hmm.
show together. Now we got a bunch of episodes lined up now. You know what I'm saying? When you think independently and you notice the difference between what, for example, if I can use you for an example, the album that Kimba put out before this one, it was called Street English, versus what
Mm-hmm.
he has now, Class Crown. Same
Mm-hmm.
production, same talent, same everything. The only difference is now he owns everything.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Mm-hmm.
when he dropped, yeah, my boy had a record deal for all y'all don't know. You know, but when you are signed to somebody, they kind of messing with your ownership. Like
Yes.
the ownership of the music, the ownership of the beats, the royalties. I call it RPM. RPM stands for royalties, masters, excuse me, royalties, publisher, and masters.
Yeah.
Royalties is what gets you checks every month, every week, whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Publishing is how they can take your idea, they want to put it in a movie, use it in a cartoon. They have to get your permission. The masters, control of the creation you've created. That means
Yeah.
that you own wherever it's going to go.
Right.
But what's happened to a lot of artists since the beginning of time, since the beginning of the birth of the first record deal, record labels have been screwing artists over. There are very few Master P's out here, very few Russell Simmons out here, very
Mm-hmm.
few who is I'm thinking about here? Jay-Z out here.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? Very few Madonnas out here.
Mm-hmm.
Very few Princes out here.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Forget the record labels. What we need you for? No, I'm gonna own my music. You are a part of what I'm doing, but you don't own what I'm doing.
Right.
You see what I'm
That's
saying?
it.
And that's the ownership part. Like me right now, Carjack for Assassins. I own the trademark, copyright, everything you can think of. I own it all. You use my baby, I got to make you broke. You know what I'm saying? And I realized, I remember growing up, man, and you've heard me say this a bunch of times. Everybody be like, why don't you go work for Marvel? Go work for DC. Yada yada yada. You know, I used to try to get a job with Marvel. What
Mm.
happened was one time I actually looked at the job description. Then I looked at the intricacies of what it was saying about the job. It said in the thing, it said, this is what Marvel said. If we like your art that you're sending in as a portfolio, we don't have to pay you nothing more than $1,000 and you can't sue us. I said, excuse me? So you want to pay me $1,000 for something that's worth millions, but then I can't sue you later on? Oh, I said, now forget this job. I'm good. I never applied for another Marvel job, DC job ever again in my life. In fact, I don't even apply for jobs that's got anything to do with it. My goal, as I stated before, I'm going to be self-employed by the end of this year. That's my ultimate goal. I've realized that to be a creator and to work in a creative space is not good for you. Now you're asking
Mm.
that company to take ownership. They'll find some sneaky way to get ownership of what you have. You know what I'm saying? Ownership is the only real, and it's gonna come to the next word, equity, that you really have. You must own what you create.
Yeah.
Sign the dotted T's. Read up on
Yeah.
it. Like I growing up as a kid, I have an uncle that's a lawyer, and he's always the one that I get that reference about how God puts the dream in us. It's our job to manifest it. That's where I got that
Right.
line from. When I was growing up, my uncle was a lawyer. He was studying for law degree to get into the bar, to get into
Mm.
law school. My uncle
Mm.
failed that thing 5 times, man.
Mm.
On the fourth time he failed, he was gonna quit. And then I remember my mom telling him, Uncle, you cannot quit. You've already come 4 times. Go ahead and go for the fifth one. So my uncle he finally passes on the fifth one. But during that time, he used to have me read these books that he was reading. Hey, Junior, you need to read this right here. You're gonna need it. One day you're gonna be looking at contracts. That's why I know how to do contracts now. In fact, my boy, my dog, you've heard of the company Activision. Activision is
Mm.
the company that creates the game that you very know well, everybody knows about. Guess what that game is? Call of Duty.
Wow.
Call of Duty wanted to hire me. And I said, well, okay, we did the interview took 20 minutes, bro. It wasn't even face to face, it was literally a text. That's how they know I'm that dude. So, but then I said, hey guys, before I do anything, I have to reach out to my uncle. I sent my uncle the contract they sent me. My uncle said, nah, this ain't gonna work. Because what they're after is your characters, Carjack for Assassins. They went to my website. They're like, this guy's got talent. If we can bring him aboard to our team, make him sign here and there, he ain't gonna know. We can get him for money. My uncle said, nah. My uncle said, you're gonna send this to them. they have to sign a disclosure saying that anything you've created before you met them is yours. Anything you create for them, that's fine. They can keep it. And then my uncle said, if they don't answer, then you say no. And the woman said, and you ain't gonna believe this, the whole time while I was doing, when she sent me the documentation, she kept on emailing me, texting me. Have you signed yet? Why would you be rushing me to sign something if you're not after taking something? My uncle said, nope. I said, miss, I can't sign this. My uncle, the lawyer, said I can't sign this. I put that word in there. My uncle, the lawyer, said I can't sign this. I'll send you this disclosure. If y'all don't sign this, I'm not taking the job. I didn't take the job. Because what they were trying to do was rip me off. They thought I was a sucker. I was desperate. That's why I always say this line all the time at the end of every show. Be determined, not desperate. I'm going to say it again. Be determined, not desperate. You know where I got that from? When I used to drive Uber and Lyft, I had this one lady, this customer, her name is Eunicia. I'm never going to forget her name. That was her name. This lady dropped knowledge on me, boy. She said to me, you are reaching a pinnacle where your mind is transcending past a certain point now. You're evolving. And she said, because the combination of your evolution plus the therapy that you're doing is putting you in a different space. She said, now people can't come at you with desperation anymore. And the last thing she said was, so sweetie, from now on, be determined, not desperate. I was like, that was the best tip I ever got in my life. There was no amount of money she could have put into the app that would have equaled that right there. because that knowledge she gave me, I use it every single day, every single week, every single month she has said it to me. It's on my wall right now, my vision board. You know what I'm saying? That's why I came up with the line. Remember the two lines I always say? Two things. There's no success in skipping steps. The back of the line is just as important in front of the line. Be determined, not desperate. Then the second, your dreams can be delayed but must never be extinguished. So wait your time while the universe delivers you the right hand. Be determined, not desperate. Right now, the universe delivered me and you the right hand. 10 years ago, this would never happen now. Now we realize we need to come together as Voltron. Whatever you don't want to call it. Thunder Megazord, whatever robot you want to think of, that's what we're doing right now. We're forming Voltron. Because we realize we can grow together and grow in abundance even further. You see what I'm saying? That's what these companies do. They make you realize, like you said, they make you think that, oh yeah, you can't get it without us. And that's the biggest lie that there is.
Yeah. And you know, you I think one of the things you do is you can start to rely on something else to be as passionate about your creation as you are. You know, and it's like having a child. Like, we should never expect somebody else to be more passionate about our children than we are.
Yep. That is a danger zone.
You know, and value them as much either, because you can value something but in a different way. You know, you can try and put financial figures on it, but you know, what you're creating, Carjack Assassin, is beyond a figure. You know what I'm saying? It's beyond a financial figure. You know, it's a legacy, it's identity. You know what I'm saying? It's not just about how much money you can get per comic. It's about, actually, this represents something that is unique in the world. And, you know, it needs to be seen in that way, you know, appreciated in that way. Cause yeah, man, you know, there is a business side to things, but at the same time, um, it shouldn't come at the detriment to the creative. You know, you put your heart and soul into something, man. You should be able to, you know, it should be valued and it should be respected in the way that it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to, somebody say sign here, and no one's gonna know that you created this.
Man, that's crazy. It's like the hat. It's like y'all don't know my boy, the hat he's wearing. That's his clothing line, rawfabric.com. You want to check it out? I'm actually gonna put it in the chat right now, rawfabric.com. Rawfabric.com. When you create something like that, that's exactly what we're talking about right there. That kind of ownership where you own what you've created. And that's what these companies don't want you to have. They don't want you to have raw fabric, right? RORA.
ROAR.
Yes, sir.
Like the lion roar, rah.
Yes, sir.
Roar, yes, sir. Roarfabric.com. Yeah.
Yep, fabric. Okay, I'm spelling it right. I think I did. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So yeah, rawfabric.com. I think that's what I spelled it right
Yeah,
there.
you got it, bro. That's the
Yeah.
one.
And y'all can click it, all those who join us. But the thing is, when you have a ownership, there's just a, like for me, for example, this idea I have of Cardiac Assassins, Raw Fabric, all the clothing line, the poetry, the books that you've done, self-published. You can't have any ownership in those things if you join forces with these companies, because they don't really want. They always like saying it's a partnership, but it's not. Because what they really want to do is take over what you're doing, and then what's is what I'm looking for? Melt it down, like just I don't know, just disfigure it, man. Take away the beauty of the creation. That's why I
Mm.
don't want to work for any of them. I have no
Yeah.
desire or interest in doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And which is it's just an intoxicating experience, man. Which leads us to the next part: equity. People are
Yeah.
like, well, ownership and equity are the same. No, they're not. Equity is understanding that I bought and put my funding, my whole thing into this, and I own it. The whole percentage
Yeah.
is mine. What do you think,
Yeah.
man?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, equity, it's making sure that whatever you invest, you get that back at an equal proportion. So like you said, going and designing for someone else, how much equity are you going to have in that? Well, according to the contract, it sounded like they offered you, it wasn't going to, there
Bro,
was no equity. I mean, you
it
were
was
going
40
to,
an hour, right? That equates to 100 grand a year. That's a lot of money, right? But it's not a lot of money. You pay
well,
me,
listen, it depends on what it depends on, now to somebody, some people that's a lot of money,
yeah,
but it depends on what they don't realize is that with with a company like that, you probably working 14, 16 hours a day.
yep,
So that 100 grand, 16 hours a day, there's only 24 hours in a day. So, and there's deadlines, there's going to be overtime, you
yep.
know. And so is there equity in that? Are you going to get back from that what you put into it? And 100K is good, but what are you going to spend that 100K? Are you going to have the time to enjoy that 100K?
Man, what? There will be no time to enjoy the 100K. Are you kidding me? Man, bro, they're going to be over there like having you just sleepless, man. I already don't sleep. Now it's really going to be no sleep. You know what I'm saying? They're going to work you into the ground, do their damnedest to make sure that you don't get the same return in what you put in. You know what I'm saying? Like equity for the longest, as you said, a lot of people would be like, well, okay, I only have $100. I need three. Let me go borrow it from whatever. Now you sign on this dotted line. Now they own 85% of what you got, and they bought it for cheap. Now the thing is worth 3 billion, and now you have to give them 2.8 billion or whatever that number is. I'm not a mathematician, but I know it's ugly. You know what I'm saying? And they can say we own it too. Like for example, in the animation world, Superman, Batman, all these characters, right? Take Batman for example. Everybody thinks that Bob Kane created Batman. No, he didn't. Found his body a week later, just rotting away, died, no money, broke, just sad, man. Meanwhile, that entire time, Bob Kane was living a good life, while Bill Finger was broke as hell in his apartment, starving. Same thing happened to Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby and Stan Lee created all that Marvel stuff, but Jack Kirby never enjoyed the luxury that Stan Lee enjoyed. Same thing
Wow.
happened to um 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 oh, who's this other person? Oh my god. Oh, who am I thinking about right now?
What's their animation? Or what's their
X-Men.
product?
No, it's still within the Marvel universe. It's a guy. Oh my god. I can't think of his name.
It'll
Dang,
come to you. It'll
it'll
come
come to
to
me.
you.
But what has always happened to is that one person that if two people come together within the sphere of a thing like
The
that,
creative and the
yeah,
business head.
yeah, the guy will like. There's so many. For example, Steve Ditko. Steve Ditko created Spider-Man with Stan Lee, but
Hmm.
nobody ever gives Steve Ditko credit for Spider-Man. It's
Not at
always Stan.
all. That's the first time I heard his name.
Yeah, no, that's the kind of nonsense that was happening all the time. Like, so many artists That's why Marvel, like, as much as I like Stan Lee, I don't really like give him all the credit because I know the people that
Yeah.
were working with him were the ones who did all the work.
Yeah.
He had creative
Yeah.
ideas, but they were
Yeah.
the ones who put it on paper. And so you have to give credit to the person who puts it on paper too. Like Marvel, they have a habit of buying an artist's work and then tell them to shut up and go hide in the corner.
Wow.
Be grateful that we hired you.
Wow.
Be grateful that we let you even be on this platform. Like I went to the last comic expo I went to. There's this one guy, I didn't even know who he was. They was like, well, he's winning an award. I was like, winning an award for what? For copying people's work? So all he does is take other people's work and then does it Photoshop and then he's created something. What? No, that's not gonna work. And then he hides behind the company that he works for because they have a bunch
Wow.
of lawyers behind him. But they can't protect him from guys like me because I'll come for him and his lawyer. You see what I'm saying? Because they try to they do you so dirty that they're so used to doing it that
Yeah.
when you stand up to them, they don't know how to handle it. So
Mm.
Bill Finger died broke. It took not Bill Finger's son, who died also, but his granddaughter to make DC Comics recognize and give credit to Bill Finger.
Wow.
Yeah, that thing took over 30 years to get there, man.
Wow.
And you know, Warner Brothers owns DC Comics. So Warner
Mm.
Brothers did not want to give him any, and that's what I was thinking about. Superman. Remember Superman?
Yep.
Jerry Siegel created Superman. DC Comics bought it for him for $200 back then. They knew it was going to be worth God knows how much money. They ripped him off. They got
And
taken to court.
offered him 200 bills
Yes,
for it.
sir. Yes, sir. Guess what happens?
200 bills.
They take him to court. No, he takes them to court. DC Comics wins, but public opinion made them look so bad, they had to give him credit for what he had done. Now till today, whenever you watch a DC cartoon, whenever Superman comes along, they always say Superman appears courtesy of Jerry Siegel family approval.
Wow.
These are the things that you as an artist have to deal with, man. Your legacy is your character.
That's
That's
it,
you
bro.
know Spawn. So Spawn was created by Todd McFarlane. That might be one of the best guys to think about when it comes to lineage of how you do things.
Yeah.
See, maybe Spawn is not as popular as Superman or Batman, but Todd McFarlane owns it.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? They
Mm.
can't pimp Todd McFarlane. He always refused to line himself up with the companies. He
Wow.
would not let them just deal him dirty. You see what I'm
Wow.
saying? That's the equity. I think what you're gonna have more and more when more people become educated about equity or just ownership. Those two words specifically, equity and ownership. OE, if that's what you want to call it. OE, which also lines up under that thing I was talking about, RPM.
Yeah.
They are subsidiaries of RPM. Once people start to understand that, you're gonna have less and less record deals. And what's gonna happen is record labels are gonna have all record labels are gonna do is find a way to still screw you over. They'll figure out some other way they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Because that's
Well,
what
I
they do.
think they've done that, bro. I think part of that is streaming, the streaming services.
Streaming service. Yep.
Yeah,
Spotify.
because
Spotify. All this nonsense.
a lot of this streaming services and stuff now is funded
Yep.
by large labels who buying up the what is that, the advertising space, because it's really
Advertising stuff.
advertising, man, that runs these businesses. It's like the advertising dollars, like YouTube.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
how do YouTube pay people? It's advertisements, man. And
Yes, sir.
television networks, how do they pay people? They pay by running commercials. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
sir.
Super Bowl, how do you pay for the Super Bowl? How does Super Bowl make so much money? It's the commercials. You know what I
It's the
mean?
commercials.
$6 million for 30 minutes, you know, or excuse me, 30-second commercial.
30-second
So
commercials. Yes, sir.
yeah, so that you're right, bro. Like they find it another way because it's like they advertise it as an opportunity, streaming services. And if you're an independent artist
Yes,
who's
sir.
kind of, just kind of starting out,
Yep.
it is an avenue, but it doesn't need to be the only avenue. You know what I'm
No.
saying? So you're right, bro. These labels and stuff potentially will some of them go defunct or whatever,
Yeah.
but they find a way to get the money though too still.
I call it the rip-off zone, man.
Mm.
One of the things I take pride in, and it's something I talk about when I do my podcast episodes. financial literacy.
Yeah.
You must find a way to stay out of debt and not owe these cats money. Because as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned, a record label ain't nothing but a payday loan
Yeah.
with a crazy interest.
Yeah.
These record deals, keyword being the record deal. You hear these guys, oh, I got a record deal, $1 million. That's not money for you to go buy rims and Cadillacs. No, that's for you to record the album.
Yeah.
That same 1 million today is the same $200,000 back then. The money hasn't changed. Only the time has changed. Things cost more now.
Yeah.
Studio time that was $200 back then, now it's $1,000 an hour now.
Yeah.
So nothing's changed.
Yeah.
They're making it like, oh, $1 million. That's still no money. You're not paying me anything. You're still ripping me off.
Yeah.
I'm still in debt. That's why the industry is designed to keep artists in debt. Jada Kidd said that. Why is the industry designed to keep the artists in debt? Why they trying to sell your albums for under a dime? Why they always, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I
why?
mean, streaming, bro. It's like
1 penny?
streaming it's not even a penny, bro. It's like
That's horrible.
20% of a penny or something like
That's
that.
terrible.
I
So
mean,
that
how
I
do you
can
say
hear my song
20% of a penny?
times? What is that going to do for me? I don't care if you hear my song 1 million times. How much am I getting paid of that? Sorry. It's like, remember what I told you? Right now, my boy's got his album on Apple, Spotify, Class Crown available right now. $5.94 with tax. Personally, you should be selling no less than $10. That's just me. Hey, that's
I
just
want
me.
to hit him with a bigger meal though. So
I don't care if it's a bigger meal. It's still $10. When they get the bigger meal, that's $15. Shoot, man, ain't no devaluing up in here, man.
I
Nah,
feel
man.
that.
You
I
know what I
feel
mean?
that.
It's because people. I don't care if it's 5 tracks. 5 tracks doesn't mean that each track has to be $1. No,
Yeah.
you get to decide what the value of it is because you wrote the songs, you made the beat, you orchestrated the song, you produced the stuff. What is your value? That's what this
Yeah.
whole thing is about.
I
Like my
hear that.
bomber jacket, this bucket hat I'm wearing right now, this is $150
I hear you, bro.
right here. This t-shirt is $200. Glasses cases $100. I'm not gonna devalue myself. My backpack, this backpack right here is $300. I am not gonna. Somebody gave me some advice. They said to me, "Are you? What are you trying to be? Walmart or upper echelon?" I said, "I want to be creme de la creme." So then your price can be Walmart prices. My uncle always emphasized to me, "Hey, Junior, take your clothes, stick it on the mannequin, and then put a tag 2,500." They're gonna ask you how much. Why is it 2,500? Well, bomber jacket 1,200, t-shirt 200, sneakers 400, pants 300. What else you want to know? You know what I'm saying? So that's when I learned that from my uncle. Is when I started having the courage to value myself.
Right.
So when I design a sneaker, I'll tell some customers a sneaker some starts at 250, but
Yeah.
once it reaches the level I call the platinum range, $500 because you're
Yeah.
gonna take that sneaker, hold it for a long time, let me get famous, and then you go sell it for 10 grand. That's why I don't draw any. I don't create animated characters for anybody. I'm always getting people coming up to my table at the comic expos. Yo, do you draw characters? Nope, I don't.
Ah.
And then one time, if I do have a conversation, I'll tell them you can't afford me. I told one guy straight up, I said, can you afford to give me $1 million plus 10% for the rest of my life on anything you do with this character?
Yeah.
I said, if you can't, you need to get out of my face. Because you're looking for something for free. I got nothing free for you. Which, you know what I'm saying? Which brings us to the part that you were talking about. Marketing and presentation. What do you think? What do you think a lot of artists aren't doing that makes them have to go to these labels, these companies, just to get railroaded? I know what I think of it, but I want to see what you think of it.
Marketing presentation. I think one of the hardest things to do as an artist is to show up consistently from the beginning. I think it's one
Yes,
of the
sir.
most challenging things because building a fan base. Yeah, bro, I hear you. I
Oh
hear
yeah,
you.
hey, you know what it
I
is?
hear you.
You know what it is? Shoot. Only
Yeah.
reason why they ain't loud is because I don't want you to be. I want to be able to hear yourself.
Respect, brother. Thank you. Yeah,
Man, you up always, man.
I think one of the most challenging things as an artist in the current climate is consistently connecting with a fan base. And a
Yes, sir.
lot of times that's one of the things that these record labels appear to have
Yep.
is access to networks where they can possibly push you or push your music to an audience that they have the ears of. And so as an independent, not associated with any major entities,
Yeah.
you got to do a lot of the legwork. And so, and that's the promotion side, that's the representation, that's being places physically, that's
Yeah.
being online consistently, graphically, music, audio wise,
Yeah.
all of that. And sometimes for some people, it's a lot of effort, bro.
Yeah.
If it's self-funded and
Yeah.
everything like that, but fortunately, again, in these times that we living in this day and age with the technology, you can
Yeah.
do it, but you gotta be up for the task. You know what I mean?
Yep. I mean, but when you do it this way though, this is personally me. First things first, all of y'all, album link right there. Go get it. Class
Thank you,
clown right
beloved.
there available.
That's
So,
what's
and the
up.
second is when you do take the approach of going independent, I think it's a gift to yourself, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah,
Because now you are understanding how it is that you should go about marketing. I think the biggest thing I've done for myself, and this is something I've started to actually give myself credit for, my marketing ability. I am really great at marketing. I didn't
yeah,
really I didn't know that I was that good at like that. My
yeah,
best friend you said it. My best friend was just saying to me the other day, like, bro, what is the secret sauce? I said, bro, ain't no sauce. I just think I have a natural thing for this.
yeah.
Being able to
You love it though. You love it. You love representing yourself because you know that you're gonna be the best person to do it.
yes, sir. No, nobody can. As T.O. said, I love me some me. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I felt like this. If my platform continues to grow, why not grow all the other people that I do know that are doing something? Yourself, Neri, my brother, my mom. Bring their platforms onto my platform. Let all 1,100 subscribers that I have see what it is that you're doing. Because those 1,100 subscribers can now become 3,000. One day we're going to be on this thing live stream right now. And one day there's going to be like 50,000 people in the chat. There's going to be like a billion questions. We can't answer none of them joints.
That's
You know what
what's
I'm
up.
saying?
That's
So,
what's up.
this thing where we sit, where we stand, how we're growing is no accident.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Thank everybody keeps joining us. Definitely hit the like, hit the subscribe button. And then we're gonna
that's
have
what's
all
up.
of Kimba's platforms on here too, info. But the marketing, man, that's always something I feel like companies have held over artists.
Yeah,
Like, oh, we can do this for you. Because you have money. That's all you have. You're not
yeah.
creative. All you have is
Mm.
money. That is it. You guys
Mm.
are corny. The stuff you do is corny. It's like Common said, your label got you souped up when you are, you know what, with a loose nut. That's what Common said. Hey, I'm just saying what Common said. That rap was tight. You feel me? Label got you souped up when you were, you know what, with a loose nut.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what
Wow.
Common said. Common's one of your
Yeah.
favorite rappers. That's
Yeah,
off that B album. You know that album B?
is that yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, he's one of the best to do it. He's
Oh
he's
my
one of
God.
the
Common
he's
is
one of the
so sick
best
with it.
to
He's
it.
so sick with it. And you know
Yeah.
when I became a fan of his?
Mm.
The cover of the album. It was him sitting on the table with Malcolm X behind him. I said, that's all I need to know. That's all I need to
Wow.
know about you. You got Malcolm behind you. I know exactly how you think.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I need
Yeah,
to know.
man. He's not, he's known for that level of consciousness and lyricism that is in the vein of what Malcolm would be putting out to the community.
Yeah, he's not gonna sell his soul to go platinum. Forget that. That's not
Yeah.
happening.
And I
Malcolm's like,
think he
nope.
has actually gone platinum before. I
Yes,
think at least one of his albums has
yeah.
gone
I think it
platinum.
was Go. It was actually the B album.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
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 I got the album when I used to have no money for CDs. I go to the public library. I borrow the CD. I burn it with my machine, and they take it back. Now I feel this consciousness to support artists. Even if it's
Yeah.
one song, I take my butt on Apple and buy it. You feel me?
Yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not, I feel like artists work too hard for you to be selling your album for less than a dime. And that's because record labels are pimping you on Spotify, Pandora, whatever else is out there. I'm not letting my music go on none of those platforms. Like, and if it does go on the platform, it's got to pay me. Like, for example,
Yeah.
Spotify, Pandora. I'm leaving one out. I can't remember what the third one is. But India Ari was like, I've been making pennies, less than pennies on my streaming on my platform. Why am I here? And I said to myself, why is this woman here? See, you have a website. If you have your website, you can promote your album. Why do you need to go put it on Spotify? See, putting it on Apple is different because you can actually get paid for it. But when you put it on a streaming platform, you ain't gonna get nothing. And that's what these record labels are doing. I call it the 360. I call it the 360 record deals. What they're doing is not only are they signing you as a music artist, but if you go act, you go do commercials. They getting money from all that. Like they just getting money from all that. Nah, I ain't playing that mess. That's
Yeah,
not happening. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? I don't know what you think, but that's the toxicity that I've seen, man.
yeah. I mean, again, though, I think it's the idea of it for a lot of artists is instant access.
Yeah.
Like a 360 deal sounds like you do that because, or people do that because it puts them in the vicinity of opportunity, which they think, but not every opportunity is an opportunity that you
Nope.
want. You know what I mean? So you just got to know what you really want, and that's important. So I understand, how that look, what that can look like. I haven't
Yeah.
had that offered to me before, but I don't even know if my creativity even falls in the realm of what some entities like that would be interested in. And to be
Yeah.
honest, at this point, I just want to. I just want to create
Yep.
and let the creativity draw my audience.
Yep. Well said. That is where I'm at now too myself. I'm not interested in no record deal. I'm not interested in no deal, period. I don't care about no deal. In fact, I'm not even looking for a production company. I am the production company. That's why I
Yeah,
think on this vision. All I need is land. I'm
yeah,
not, and I can get that too. What do I need you for? I can get equipment. If I save enough money, I'll get equipment. It's like they've always tried to hold that over your head, man. Like this, we can provide you this. No, you can't. You're stealing from me. You know what I'm saying? So, like for me today, talking about value, be the person, the creation, the ownership, the equity, the marketing presentation. All that is a vital part of value, which brought us to our ultimate point next week, the fear box. We're gonna tackle that next week. That's gonna be very, very
yeah,
interesting.
bro. Yeah,
That's gonna be
bro.
very interesting. So, look, y'all, it's been an amazing show because my boy got to get some sleep because he's in England right now. It's probably about 10:30 or whatever time it is over there. So, Kimba, what are the platforms, the social media, the
Yeah,
websites, all
yeah,
that, please, so they
yeah,
can get they click on?
yep. So here it is. www.kingkimba.com is the website. All right. On the social medias is at I am King Kimba, King. I am King Kimba, Kimba. All right. So that's what it is. And then, it's already in there. My homie, my boy, my bro, special Sanusi Vision. Sanusi Vision. I'm gonna master
No,
saying that
because it
actually.
does confuse people. People think it's Japanese sometimes too. I'm like, nah, man, it's Nigerian.
Hey, listen, I want to say something about that soon as well because I think there are a lot of similarities between Asian
Yes,
and African culture.
but they come from us, so there are similarities. You do know that Asians come from South Africa, right? That's
Do you know
why
what?
Nelson Mandela looks the way he looks, right? He didn't
Ooh,
come from them. They came from us. Even
ooh,
me, I have Asians. Look at my eyes. One person asked me
ooh,
one time, "Am I Japanese?" I said no, but I understand now because
ooh.
my eyes are I have Korean attributes. You know what I'm saying?
Even some of the language, though, bro. If you listen to
Yes,
how some of the languages
yes,
is
yes,
spoken, and some of the mannerisms and the
yes.
emotion of
The
how,
family, the
but
emotional, everything.
that's another joint.
That's another joint right there. Culture, like for example, right? In fact, let me write this down. Fear box, culture, episodes. That's what I'm gonna call
Yeah,
them. We freestyling this thing. We don't schedule nothing, y'all. We just make it up as we go. You know what I'm
it's
saying?
lovely though. But
It's
listen,
lovely.
we tie in the
The
ideas. We're
ideas, they're all
allowing
tied
the
to each other.
ideas to, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's funny
But
you say that because a lot of if the world wasn't full of greedy individuals, technically you should be able to live anywhere on earth. But because we become so segmented, Eurocentrism has tried to devalue everybody else rebels against them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like for example, our president here in America, What he's doing recently is letting all the whites in South Africa come to America, saying I'm letting Africans in. No, you're not. You're letting whites come here. So now, what's always been happening anyway is that true Africans are tired of whites in Africa. You gotta go. It's called a movement. We're calling it CMG. White people must go. Not that word though. The C part is a very rude word, but you
Okay.
must go. You know what I'm saying? They gotta go. The worst thing that ever happened to Africa was Europe. Europe. The worst thing that's still in Africa is Europeans. They gotta go. They're like an infestation, man. It's one thing to be it's one thing to be a humanitarian, but you're not a humanitarian. You're greedy. You want the
Yeah, and I
resources.
and
You
that's
want
that's the
what is
thing
yours.
people got to realize. You know what I'm saying? It's when integration becomes detrimental to the natives,
Yep.
then something has to change,
Yep.
right? When immigration, because you got to think like this is big thing in America right now as well
Yeah.
with this whole idea of immigration and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
pulling back. But you got to think, but what about when other people migrate to other places?
Thank you.
You're
Thank
not
you.
you're not talking about that. So this whole thing of the inhabitation of Africa and South Africa and um this whole legacy of um exploitation and ownership
Yep.
in Africa, you have to look at that, man. You have to look at that and you have to really honor the natives, The same thing in America, Native Americans,
Thank you. Thank you.
in
Thank
America,
you.
it's, same thing, man. So all this talk about about immigration and, we
Man,
can't let this like Europeans were immigrants
thank
to
you.
Native America to America. So,
So I don't get it. Like
yeah,
they go around the same thing they do in America. They do it everywhere else. They did it in Hawaii. They did it in South Africa, South America. They do it everywhere. This is a prototype blueprint they use everywhere, and people let them do it because in these countries you have these greedy individuals that serve themselves and not their people.
yeah,
And whenever you do have people like Gaddafi, Nelson Mandela, um, Fela Kuti, Muritala Muhammad, um, 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 Kwame Nkrumah,
yeah,
CIA, FBI, go and find a way to exterminate them. They get the people in
yeah,
their own countries to do to them.
yeah,
See,
and
but what's happening now is there's a new revolution.
yeah,
A lot of
yeah, and
Africans,
I would say this too, bro. Some people like um I won't say I've changed the militancy, but
yeah,
my thing is like I understand that is there's a reason why a lot of African Americans are very militant in the sense that
yes,
they don't want any integration in
nope,
terms of finances and commerce and all that.
yeah,
I'm not one of those people, but what I am militant about is
yeah,
equity.
yes,
I'm militant about equity because I think that culturally, I think culture is valuable across
yeah,
the board. Like,
yeah,
I love Chinese food. I
yep,
wasn't born in China,
yep.
but you take me to a Chinese buffet
It's over.
and you put a sumo wrestler in there and you let Kimber sit with the sumo wrestlers, I'm gonna handle my business. I'm gonna sit right next to my
Oh
man
man, yo,
and I'm gonna
he just
throw
said
down.
wrestlers at work.
Listen, I'm gonna throw down and I'm gonna be in there for a couple hours for
Oh
real.
man, that's
Now
off
this
the
is just
chain.
me.
That's
Now listen.
beautiful.
Now why do I say that? Because I believe that culture is to be enjoyed. I believe that culture
Yes,
is the creator's plan.
yes.
But right when culture becomes um,
Assimilation.
exploitive, when culture becomes exploitive to
Yes,
the detriment of other cultures,
yes.
I'm militant to say, listen, that's not
Nah,
it.
nah.
That's not the idea. You need to uproot that and you
Yep.
need to go back and find out what are the foundations
Yes.
of exchange that are equally valuable, that have equity to everybody that's
Yep.
involved. You know what I
Yep.
mean? If that means if you are if a non-native culture is dominating a place where the natives have have less, then something's not right.
Check it
It's
out.
not
South
right.
Africa. Okay,
Point
so
blank.
they say apartheid is over, but yet 80% of the land is still owned by the whites and 20% by the Africans. And then the reason why it stays that way is because the greedy leaders, instead of returning the land back to the people, they're too busy collecting checks every month.
Absolutely,
And then
yeah.
there's an area in South Africa called Orania. White people have the nerve to have their own currency, own land, and the government allows them to because they're getting checks every month.
Wow. Yeah.
What kind
See
of
that?
idiocy is that? And these are all
Yeah.
things that started when Nelson Mandela was around. Like, I love Nelson Mandela, but that was one his big mistake right there. When you come back from jail for 27 years, they need to go. That does not benefit your people. See, this is one thing I don't believe in. I don't believe in the word race. Such a
Yeah.
thing does not exist.
Yeah.
I don't believe in race. That word, I believe in greed. A color of a person means nothing to me because
Yeah.
that word doesn't really exist. Either you
Yeah.
have long hair, short hair, whatever but your complexion is. That's what you. All I care about is what's your name and what kind of person are you. See this? So, and this I've said this before, and I meant when I said it. The only true cure to nonsense like that is cultural dating, cultural marriages. That means you've got a person of African descent, maybe married to a European person married to an Indian person. God
Mm.
did not intend us for to be looking at each other like, oh, you're this color. Either I'm attracted or
Mm.
not. Either we're
Mm.
standing or we're not. Either we
Yeah.
flow or we don't. But all that
Yeah.
color nonsense, I'm not trying to hear all that. Like
Yeah.
me, I wouldn't care if I ended up with a Korean woman. That don't move me nothing. All I care
Yeah.
about is you're a good person. That's all I
Yeah.
care. I'm not looking at color when I look at women. I'm looking at,
Yeah.
are you a good person? Are you
Yeah.
smart? Do you have character? Are you honorable? All those things like that. All that color nonsense mean none to me. What I
Yeah.
am militant about is exploitation. I will not let you exploit my culture. That
Come
ain't
on,
gonna
brother. Yeah.
that ain't gonna happen. And
Yeah.
that's what's happening now in Africa. My generation is like, you know what? Screw our parents. No, we're gonna handle this. See, the time between my grandfather and myself and what's in between is my parents' generation. They didn't do
Yeah.
nothing to keep the country going forward. All they did
Mm.
was take an inheritance. We, my
Mm.
generation, have to fix what they haven't done.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? So my
Mm-hmm.
grandfather's generation is what it gave the country independence.
Right.
Parents' generation didn't do nothing, keep it. All they
Interesting.
done is milked it. They haven't
Interesting.
built the country forward. Now my generation is the one that's gonna fix it. So all these cats that are 65, 70 years old, they're the ones ruining the country. All the cats that are 45 or under are the ones who are gonna have to fix the country. That's why it's important for me to go to Nigeria,
Bro, listen.
to
When you
travel to
go,
Africa, to be to not see America as the only place. You know what I'm saying?
I,
So yeah,
I
man.
listen, we got so much to chop up, bro.
Next week, we'll be
We
back
got
again,
so much to chop up.
probably around the same time again, y'all. Mr. Man got to go to sleep. So as always, y'all, two things I always say, man. Kimba, thank you for doing this an amazing episode again. This is really becoming fun. Um, hey man, this is something special. It's getting built right here, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
man.
as always. And two things I always end with. One, there's no success in skipping steps. The back of the line is just as important as the front of the line. Be determined, not desperate. And then the second one, your dreams can be delayed but must never be extinguished. So wait your time while the universe delivers you the right hand. Be determined, not desperate. As always, y'all, continue to aspire to achieve. Kimba, my brother, have a great week. Keep building your dream, baby. I'm proud of you, man.
Thank
Clap,
you, brother.
crown,
Likewise,
motherfucker.
man.
Out. You know what I'm saying? Peace, man.
Peace, brother.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Peace.